by to 7 rows deep.
And rolling up to the start-finish line. Looks like Asher going a little bit off track as the inside.
As they can. Saber making an amazing dive into turn 1.
And electroshocks off, Eggful gets the move. But MNU trying to take a move.
Big contact from 5 different punches.
Big incident with Snowdog, our leader.
As we head into turn row, it's a big crash. It's a big crash between the two title contenders.
And you're live. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's having a lovely evening. Welcome to Simufur and welcome to the 7th season of the ACC GT3 Champ. We are on round 2, Brands Hatch, a very narrow British track here, known by most that drive ACC here, one of the oldest tracks on the season, along British tracks alongside with Silverstone. Joining me in the commentary box today is Kady, and Denak's gonna be in the broadcasting booth trying to make sure that we don't miss any action tonight. How are you, Kady?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm excited to be back here specifically. I feel like it's been a little bit since we've actually run Brands Hatch, so it'll be interesting to see how the drivers tackle it. This is kind of the definition of what I would consider like an old school racetrack. You can kind of see from these screenshots what I mean by that, which is that basically this track is pretty much unchanged from when it kind of got this configuration in like the 1960s pretty much. So it's a lot of grass and a lot of gravel traps is mostly what's around here. So our drivers are going to have to be really, really precise because there's not a whole lot of room for error around here. It's tight, it's twisty, we're going through the woods. These GT3 cars are powerful and they're going to have very few places to unleash that power and to be able to get around each other. So it's going to be a real test for our drivers today, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. Pushing here is either very rewarding, as you said, or very, very punishing with how bumpy grass and grass is all over the place. We are not taking the very short route that some people might know of, the club route. We are taking the full GP route, going down into the back with a few more corners right before coming back into the very familiar start-finish straight. Very big drop off the hill at turn 1 at Paddock Hill Bend, and into the hairpin at Druid. So very nice, going to be a very nice track for the drivers, but at the same time, as you said, pretty hard to push it at Brands Hatch on the GT3s. You can kind of do it on the GT4s, maybe the M2s, but yeah, it's definitely interesting to see how these drivers will tackle it. A new grid this season compared to our previous time here, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see the new drivers have a go at it here.
Yeah, absolutely. We were kind of talking a little bit before we went live, just like talking about how small this track feels, and that the GT3s are kind of what I would consider kind of the fastest cars that you can really kind of have on here safely nowadays. But you know, believe it or not, they ran the British Grand Prix here for a number of years between 64 and 86. This was the location of the legendary Nigel Mansell's first win in Formula One. So there was a time in history when you would run those sort of extremely high downforce and high-speed cars around here, and I have to imagine that it was even more of a test of driver skill than it was before. So we're watching Sash circulate right now in the Mustang GT3. We saw the Mustangs do a really good job out last time, navigating the bumps and the curves around Imola, and we'll have to see whether they're able to navigate it just as similarly here at Brands Hatch. There's a lot less of those bumps and sausage curves, but I think the track itself is really bumpy because, again, you know, it's been resurfaced, but it's still kind of a bit of an old surface, as there's a bit of a slide there out of the last corner. That torque there, getting the best of Sosh there in that final corner. So gonna want to minimize that throughout the rest of this race here, and we'll see how it goes for these drivers and for how the front engine machinery stacks up to the mid engine stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Drivers are trying to go out. I feel like the track's a little bit green at the moment, given that drivers are just starting to go out. So the track will start to rubber in over time as the drivers start to put in the rubber, try to give it a bit of slides, and then put in some heated tires across the track surface, and that's when grip starts to show up, and that's when the pace starts to come in. The drivers, though, those with front engine cars might like it a bit better here, given how bumpy the off tracks are, but it doesn't mean that the lighter mid-engine to rear-engine cars can't be agile here. This track does require a very agile car to be, you know, enjoyable to be coming around these few corners, but it's more about finishing the hour on this race anyway. So we'll see how these drivers behave tonight.
Yeah, speaking of our drivers, actually, we have a couple of changes that we've made sort of in terms of promotions, and also with the application of post-race penalties after our first go-around in Imola. So if you'll remember, we had a couple of demotions that we had. So Jordan Johnson did win that race at Imola on the track, but was penalized, and so dropped from P1 to P6 in the overall standings there. And that means that Damon Wareham, who was right behind, is now the overall winner at Imola, and that also bumped RK up to second, and Lily Armstrong up to third, which was it was an incredibly strong performance from her there. We had Alexander Vanderwood was the winner in the gold category, our brand new gold category, but was also penalized, similar to Jordan. So Parker is now the new gold winner, Parker Olsen. So and then we had a couple of other drivers that were bumped up as well into podium positions. Aiden Larson and Saber Kitsune are sitting on the podium for the gold class as of right now. We didn't have a lead change in silver. It was still Callan Mooney taking the win for that one. But we did have some driver promotions after our first round. So Sierra and Toomey both got promoted up into the silver class from AM. And so they scored on the silver leaderboard. So you can see as well Sadket there in P4, which was accurate to how they finished on track. So it was a really good performance, even though they were an AM. So definitely already kind of making a statement there. And with the couple of drivers leaving our AM class, we now have our 5 drivers in there. And JPEG is still on top here. So JPEG, our new AM winner after Sierra being who won AM in the last race, was promoted to silver, and so JPEG got that as well. So a lot of reshuffling, but ultimately what sort of stood was the overall standings on track. And I know that you weren't there for the first round, Newbie, but it was a really good time, and it was really fun to see the AMs cutting it up with the silvers, and in some cases even the pros. So those drivers absolutely earning their promotions, and I'll be really interested to see how they compete in their new classes in this one.
Yeah, even though I wasn't here in the commentary booth, I did take a peep in the race, and there was just so much action. It was just so much racing. That's why it's kind of why we keep coming back here. It's just how much racing we have here between classes, between drivers, and it's always been amazing to see drivers doing all right. The stewards have called for a code 50 practice right now, so everyone's doing a little bit of a slowdown to make sure everyone hears the code 50. All right, if you're wondering what is a code 50, it is basically a virtual safety car that all drivers have to adhere in case having issues of any kind on track that might hinder the impeding any sort of clear ways in case of a very big accident that might happen. So they are trying to make sure that everyone gets to able to hear the race control, as well as hear when the green flag is going to happen, and it seems like this green flag is going to be happening now, and that's important because you don't want drivers to jump to start, you don't want to have any sort of issues with drivers jumping to start or having any sort of unfair advantage on the restart. And this is why we have practice here in the Code 50 practice here in practice, and not have it happen in the race without any sort of practice.
Yeah, exactly, and hopefully we don't have to use it. But at a track like Brands, you know, I don't want to say it's inevitable, but I think there's a pretty decent chance that we have a pile up somewhere along the racetrack at some point. There's a lot of really kind of weird off-camber, like blind corners around here. This one here, turn 1 Paddock Hill Bend, being one of those. It's kind of hard to see when you're at sort of the top of that corner. It's hard to see down the hill to see if there's any sort of pile up going on sort of in front of you there. Same thing with Sheen Curve later on in the lap in Sector 2. That one's just completely blind and also very high speed. So it's really hard. You really don't have a lot of time to take avoiding action if there's somebody at the top of that hill that you just can't see when you're entering the corner, and you're fairly committed as soon as you sort of turn in there. So there's not a whole lot you could do even if you do see someone. So we'll see what happens. Jordan is leading our practice times at the moment. We only have about 1 minute and 30 seconds before qualifying here, but we actually have Jordan and Chris set the exact same time down to the thousandth of a second, which was a 24.550, but that was just beaten by Damon putting in a 24.395. Damon I've seen go very fast around Brands Hatch before. This is a home race for probably quite a few of our drivers in here today, and so a lot of them do know this track very well, and Damon being one of them. And Damon today looking to make sure that they keep Jordan in the rear view and see if they can drive away with this one, and make sure that they keep the lead that they got in Imola, and prove that it wasn't just a matter of getting penalties, that Damon can really take the fight to Jordan in this championship.
Yeah, definitely. And Jordan already answering to Damon with getting in 123.8 on the leaderboard. It's going to be a very interesting fight between the two of them, given that we have seen a pretty close fight last time in Imola. Jordan definitely does not want to lose any more points with against Damon, given that they have dropped pretty significantly on the leaderboard and basically lost a lot of points. We do have a drop round for this grid, so even though Jordan might have a pretty harsh penalty, it could be their drop round, and you see here Damon doing a pit entry practice. Important to do that. It's gonna be important for Jordan to basically make sure that they don't make any more mistakes, make any more sort of time loss in there, and it's gonna be easy for them. And pit practice, very important here. Pit entry is very weird. Basically a right-left chicane on the entry. Kind of don't want to miss it. If not, you're gonna go straight through into the barriers, and that's gonna be more time lost from just repairs, and it's not gonna be a good race strategy for us, I would assume.
Yeah, absolutely not. It's almost part of the racetrack there, is like just trying to take that chicane as fast as possible, as we see RK sliding around in that Nissan GTR. The sort of like getting on the grass at the exit of Sheen, I think that's going to be a pretty common theme for us today, both in qualifying and in the race. It's really easy to misjudge that one, especially when you can't really see where the exit is when you're committing to it. So it's something that you really kind of just have to do by feel. And it's one of the harder parts of this racetrack to really get right. So we're transitioning to qualifying right now. At the end of our practice session, we had Jordan up on top with a 123.86. So we're expecting some 23s today. I think it would be pretty much impossible for a 22. So those are going to be the fastest times are going to be in that 23 range. And if we get into the mid or even the low 23s, I think it would be quite an achievement. And RK with a 24 flat Damon with a 24.3, and Chris up there as well in the Mercedes with a 23.5. So we've got some decent spread of times around here. But it's going to be a matter of who can get the lap done, because pretty similar to Imola, it's a short track, and while there's not a whole lot of drivers out on track at the same time as you want to make sure that you don't run into anyone. You make sure that you can get as clean of a lap as you can. So that's going to be the name of the game.
Yeah, definitely gotta be clean, but you just challenge Plasma, Jordan, to get a sub 23. You just basically implanted that directly into his mind. Telepathically, I think I'm gonna see Jordan pushing as much as you can to get a 22, just to prove your point that you can get into the 22s. He has been committed to getting the 22s, so just hopefully the track conditions may allow it. But obviously the way you drive in qualifying does not equate to the way you drive in the race, because as you said, going off into the grass might be alright in qualifying, but definitely not in the race. ACC has the thing where your tires get burped out of pressure taking into the grass, and if you do that too much, you might have your tire pressures drop out of optimum range, and that's not going to be fun for you for the rest of the race. It's either you got to extend pretty hard with the very worn tires, or you're going to have to just basically swap the tires at the start of the pit window, and that's going to be fun for you for the rest of the race.
Yeah, it's going to be a matter of just managing those tires as much as you can, and slow punctures are definitely a common theme around a lot of the British tracks in this game. This one being one of them, the very notorious one being Snetterton, where it's very, very hard to escape an hour of racing around that one without at least a couple of low tire pressure warnings. And that's just a matter of the air leaving the tires when they strike those hard curbs and track surfaces, and that's really kind of where that comes from. But in qualifying, they're going to be running over those curbs as much as they can. They're not going to be super concerned with making sure that they keep the tire pressures under control. But like you said, definitely, if it becomes an issue and they have to come in early, it's a long way to go around this track, especially where there's quite a few high-speed and low-speed corners that really put a lot of stress on especially the left side tires. So that's going to be something that we're going to be watching out for as the race goes on.
Yeah, definitely driven here long enough, and you'll know that the left tire basically starts to basically lose grip midway through your stint, especially in this hour-long stint. So you gotta start nursing it. Either you nurse it or you basically pit in early. I would say as a strategy, usually you want to pit in on the midway point. Going a little bit past the midway point, you start to lose a little bit of time just keeping a very worn tire, but you gain very fresh tires for the last stint. Or if you pit in slightly early, you basically can get fresh tires to basically overtake whoever's in front of you, but you lose a bunch of time at the very end of your stint. So your drivers gotta think about that after qualifying. But for right now, everyone's just figuring out what they want to do in a bit, but they'll try to figure out what to do as the qualifying would happen, as we see things happen soon.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a couple of drivers out right now. We'll get you track pictures in just a second here, but we have a couple drivers who have already put in some times in our AM class. Only 5 drivers in this class now at the moment. As we get on there, and that's quite a thing to open on there. So it's going to be, I'm not sure who that is. That looks like Fraser McDonald there for Cabal Sim Sports, getting a little bit loose there on looked like turn 1. So it's going to be resetting to the pits and trying again. We have about 6 minutes to go here. Here's Manuel Benavides on a flyer at the moment. Put in a 33 on their last lap. I assume that they're almost certainly going to beat that, running it all the way over those bollards, and in fact through those bollards, and going on to the final straight here to start their flying lap. And this is Paddock Hill Bend here. You want to really get out to the outside of the track as much as you can, and then make sure that you don't run too wide on the exit there on the sand. Into the braking zone for Druids. Very short, slow speed hairpin here in the middle of sector 1. You want to wait, and get on the power as fast as you can. Short run down to turn 3, get out to the outside of the track. You're kind of braking across the track there, and use as much as the exit as you dare. And then it's a short run here to this slow speed onto the Grand Prix circuit. The rest of the Grand Prix circuit, I should say. And that one's uphill and off camber, and all sorts of different weird things are going on there. But it does lead onto the longest straight on the racetrack. This is where the speeds are going to be the highest. And then a very, very high speed corner here in Hawthorne Bend on down to Westfield Bend, where you want to make sure, again, you don't run onto that sand on the exit. You're down the hill and then up the hill again, and this is the blind sheen corner that we were talking about. That's going to be the end of Manuel's lap, though, as they sort of ran out a little bit too wide onto the grass there, trying to open up the corner as much as they could to maximize the speed, and that is what you want to do. But again, you want to make sure that you don't get the tires onto the grass like that, because that will ruin a lap very quickly, as Adam is also demonstrating in that Cabal Mustang.
Yeah, definitely a very nice livery in the Cabal Mustang. A different color from the rest of the team here. But yeah, you don't really want to cut the grass here. It's alright in the qualifying, but with how bumpy it is, grass in ACC, it's really dangerous. You might get yourself rejoining really weirdly, and that's gonna basically cause you to actually accidentally wreck someone. So you definitely want to be careful, stay within the limits, and also at the same time, you have a pretty timed qualifying, although the time qualifying is shared between either your classes. I would say just get an installation lap, at least get somewhere on the grid before you start pushing the limits, because you rather get a pretty respectable time instead of having a time that's basically invalidated and had to start at the back of the grid.
Yeah, exactly. And this is one of our shortest laps too, so I know it's probably really tempting for these drivers to just try to get around as fast as they can, and that's going to be the end of those bollards on the inside, the apex there of our final corner around here at the end of Clearways. So those bollards and these bollards here at the entrance of turn 1 will probably be gone pretty quickly once we get our race started. And usually we try to encourage our drivers not to do their best to not take out track markers like that, but for those bollards where you're running so close to them and just trying to find the apex there in turn 1, because it's so difficult to figure out exactly where it is without those. You know, it's kind of inevitable that they're going to get taken out at some point. They'll get reset in between sessions, but it's just one more thing to try to deal with. As long as they're not taking out any brake markers, I think it should be okay.
I was gonna say, I don't think it's gonna be the last time we see those bollards. The poor stewards at the poor marshals would go out and plant them back in, and someone's gonna rack them again in the next session. But for now, pretty strong qualifying from Adam here, a 1:24.5 P1, basically leading JPEG by 7/10. So definitely a lot of gaps, a lot of pace to be had for this for the drivers here. So definitely a lot more to go. But for the classes, it's only 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes remaining for the M class to have another go. So should be about a lap or two. Once they have that done, it should be the super class going out for the next 10 minutes or so, maybe. I think my math is right, and then it will be pretty. You'll see the pace start to be a bit faster, and maybe you'll see some of the silver class maybe mixing in with the Ams. But it'll be very interesting to see once the timer ticks down.
Oh, I think with that time from Adam, absolutely. Like that was the 24.5. We were seeing that from some of our pros, so I don't doubt that Adam's going to be pretty high up the order by the end of our qualifying here, as long as things kind of stay the way that they have been in our practice sessions. But I think if you're able to sort of really get on qualifying around here, it's almost like this is kind of our Monaco for the season 7 schedule here, where it's just, if you can qualify really good at this track, it is so hard to overtake that honestly, if you're an AM and you can get up there like in the top 10 or close to it, and you can keep another driver behind, it's a lot easier to do that around here than it is at most of the other racetracks that we'll be at for the rest of this season. So this could be a really nice opportunity for our lower rated drivers to put in a good time and really perform around here, as Manuel's going around for another lap currently at the tail end of our AM drivers at the moment, but still putting in some decent times.
Yeah, definitely decent times are being put down. But just now we're saying fast pace. Doesn't matter really here once you get into the race. It's good to have a good qualifying, but can you survive it though? Drivers, regardless of how easy or hard the track is to overtake, will try to overtake, and you definitely want to either hold the guys behind back or just run away with the grid in front of you. So you gotta make sure that things go right for you at the start, as well as just making sure you don't just don't crack under pressure. And the qualifying for AMS will be done, and it's going to be the silver starting to come out for the next 10 minutes for qualifying, and Fraser crossing the line here, getting a 1:25.595 as their fastest lap. So currently that's going to be the best they could do. It's up to the rest to see what kind of pace the silvers have for the remaining qualifying for this session.
Yeah, absolutely. Blade Wolf was, I think, close to the top of our times at ML last time out. Did a really good job. So eyes are going to be on Blade Wolf. Eyes are going to be on Kellen, of course, who was our winner last time out for the silver class. I would also probably expect Electroshock to be doing pretty well around here. Sadket as well, and our new drivers in silver, Sadket and Sierra, who also put in some fantastic times around here. So if they put in the practice, I would expect all of them basically to be duking it out for pole. But our AM lineup is going to be the Mustang of Adam on top with 24.5, JPEG in the Porsche there putting in a 25.3. So Adam, the only one to be getting into the 24s, and by a really respectable margin. So that was a fantastic time from them. And then we had McDonald there in the BMWs, along with Wolfen. They're on the same row in the BMW machinery, putting in a 25.5 and a 25.6 respectively. And then the last of our AM point scorers was Manuel Benavides with that 26.8 there. So pretty good times there. We'll see how Cowling gets on with this first lap here. Looks pretty good so far, looking like a good sector 1, just taking it around the very, very slow corner there. And that one is, you have to sort of feather the throttle kind of the entire way around there, because the car is just so light going up the hill, and also you know, kind of turning and being off camber. It's a really tough one to get right, and that kind of goes for a lot of tracks around here, as we get this beautiful aerial shot going through the woodlands here. And that was a little bit of a wide moment there. I think that's going to be the end of the lap for that Lamborghini behind, but Cowling continues on, rounding out this last corner here before Clearblaze, and that car behind getting fairly close to the back of them. So again, we're going to be looking at making sure that our drivers can get enough space in between each other to be able to set decent lap times without getting held up by each other. And that is going to be a 24.9 from Cowland. So obviously those times are going to get faster as the session goes on, but still a couple tenths off from Adam's time there. It just goes to show how good of a time that ended up being.
Yeah, definitely. Even though we kind of always see Adam basically off the grass and all that, they definitely can set a fast time when they're able to string it together. And it's good to see that even the silvers are having a tough time cracking that fast lap time over there. But Fabio in the Lexus, not really much of a favorite car to pick this season, but it is sometimes pretty strong here in Brands Hatch because of how light the rear is on this car and how pretty much it's kind of tail happy. And with that, it makes the car, even though it's strong on taking bumps, it's also pretty nice in terms of rotation. But that also comes with the fact that it's a little bit harsh on tire wear. So it's going to be interesting to see the BOP affecting the Lexus and see how the Lexus fares with the rest of the grid. And so far, Tumbi, Fabio Schall in P3 doing all right. And I was going to say Sierra basically early in P1 in silver class did a 1:24.6 in the Lexus.
Yeah, so once again, just like making a statement for why they deserve to be in silver, because here they are duking it out for pole, and by a pretty wide margin. But that's going to be Cowland to the top of the times. Our first 24 flat. We're very, very close to 23s already, and I wouldn't be surprised to see one before the end of the session. But yeah, just kind of speaking of the performance of the Lexi in the last one, we had quite a few drivers picking it in Imola, and it ended up being really good there. But like you said, exactly the thing that it's going to be kind of punishing on tire wear. You know, they're probably going to be able to show a lot of pace kind of early on in the stint, and especially in this qualifying here, where we've already seen a lot of our sort of front engine machinery, as we have Kalin, Arez, and Electroshock are leading our timing tables right now. Arez in there with the Lamborghini Huracan, but surrounded by the front engine BMWs, as well as the Lexus of Fabio behind in P4. So this battle for the silver pole is absolutely heating up. That's another trade of the pole time for Sierra's favor. That's a 24.080. That is exactly 12 1,000ths of a second off from Kalin's last time, and Kalin putting in a best sector 1, Sierra putting in a best sector 3. So you can see, and here's another time. That's our first 23. That's going to be a 23.797 from Kalin. So as soon as I was talking about the sector times, Kalin went ahead and just set a purple for all 3 of them. So it's going to be interesting to see how Sierra can respond here, and also see if Zadkick can get up there in the mix, because I remember last time out at Imola, Sierra and Sadcat were very, very close to each other on the track, basically the entire race. So I'd be interested to see whether they keep duking it out in this one.
Yeah, I was just about to say that the gap between P1 to P3 was within a tenth of each other, and then Kalun came in with time, Sierra came in with time, and they are just, now the gap is just all over, it's increased to beyond P1 to P9. The gap is within a second of each other, even though we have Adam in P7 within the mix. It's all pretty much close fighting for the grid right now, and it's going to be interesting to see how the pros are going to gap between the silvers, or maybe ahead of the silvers, and we're going to have to see how close the fighting in front is going to be. See here, the cars going out wide as much as they could. They can only do that in qualifying. But some of the corners here actually have a little bit of a runoff there, so you don't need to worry about going into the grass and actually getting yourself a bit of a tire burp here and there. But you definitely don't want to abuse every single corner out here, or else you're going to have issues in the race. But Electroshock right now, P4 coming down into the last corner, a little bit wide, but almost cutting into the grass. So maybe saving some time, maybe not. Will he improve on their lap time though? I think that's good. Yes, wait, that's not it. But yeah, that is true. Electroshock in P3. So pretty good time for them to improve right now.
Yeah, absolutely. We have Arez also dipping into the 23s. So Kalin not the only one setting those times at the moment, and the way that this is going right now, I'm guessing that a lot of our gold drivers are going to be kind of interleaved with the silvers. Just sort of at the top of the timetable as that session goes on. But again, it's early yet. The pros and golds are going to have an even grippier track than these do, as we are heading into the last couple minutes of this one. Skylar on a fast lap at the moment, up about half a tenth. Lost a little bit of time there through the final corner. That's really easy to do if you get sort of the racing line a little bit wrong. If you miss the apex a little bit, it really hampers your ability to get on the power as quickly as possible and onto that main straight. So that's still going to be an improvement, but there's definitely still time to be found there as we hop on board with Jesper, the Garage 42 Porsche 992. Another car that I think, with all of the traction and all of the rotation that you can get out of that rear engine Porsche, I imagine that's also going to be a pretty strong car around here. But again, tire wear is always going to be a factor, and at least for me, whenever I drive the 992 in this game, I always just completely torch the tires. It requires a particular driving style to really get it right.
Oh, sorry, but yeah, it's definitely a weird way to drive the car in Porsche. The Porsche here, the rear is pretty much what you have to drive it with. A bit of throttle, a little bit of brakes, basically balance it out as the time's about to cross over, and the pros will be the one to coming out within within a minute's time. So the drivers are still trying to make sure they get the time in as soon as possible. Currently looking at Sarah Amberson in Our Racing, currently in the Mercedes. Not a famous car to take on, but pretty nice to see that we have a Mercedes out here pretty strong at times, but definitely hampered by its pretty complex aero requirements to make sure that it's pretty planted. But if you can get it right, it's a really nice cargo drive. It's really stable, a little bit temperamental, and if you can get it right, it's very rewarding for sure.
Yeah, stable is one word that you can use to describe it. I usually say stiff as a board, but
Oh, yeah.
that's just sort of speaks to my personal preferences, I guess. We have one other AMG in the championship or in this race at the moment. It's being driven by Chris Gator, so we'll see the other AMG on track in the next couple minutes, actually, right about now, as we've gotten the go-ahead from race control for the pros to hit the racetrack. So it doesn't look like anybody else is on. We have Sadket, who is still on a lap and is still improving, going through the final sector right now. Is about to cross the line. It's going to be about a 1/10.5 in it for Sadket. That's going to bump them up a place above Blade Wolf. So that's going to be a good time for them, as we see Sosh getting ready for their flying lap in. This is like a watermelon Mustang to me, is what this is reminding me of. I actually really like it.
It's a Confuzzle livery, you can see here on the side here. Really nice to see that. We're repping one of the fur cons that Simufur usually goes to. Confuzzle, we have a panel there, I believe, and it's always nice to see that we help develop and basically reach out to furries, that we do have a sim racing community that we're pretty much always inviting people to come in, hang out, not just race with us, but just share the love of racing, share the love of sim racing, and definitely going to be the start of Sausage Dragon's lap. Would you want to take it for us, Kady?
Yeah, sure. So it's going to be one more time around Paddock Hill Bend here, and you can see just wiggling the steering wheel, trying to find the grip there through that off-camber downhill corner. Car's very, very light around there. Looked like it handled it pretty well. That's a pretty wide moment there for through Druids, so going to have to cut back and try to find as much time as they can through it. Cutting in here to turn 3, using a pretty decent amount of the exit sort of gutter there, and then now into turn 4, and just waiting to get on the power out of here onto the longest part of the racetrack, where you can unleash the V8 Coyote of that Mustang. And is still weaving a little bit. Looks like maybe they've backed out of it, but it still looks like a flyer to me. It's a little bit slow through there. Still, using as much of the racetrack as they can, obviously, but looks like they might have just backed out of it a little bit. Up through Sheen now. No real braking zone for this one, so you kind of, or clear brake marker, I should say, so you kind of have to do that one by feel, as we've said. A little bit of a dip there on the inside of that final corner, so you can really, if you can cut to the inside there, you can get a lot of grip through there and just sort of like catapult you around that corner. And through the last one there, just an inch away from the exit there, and that's going to be probably a pretty decent lap there from Sash. That's going to be a 24.5, so that is P9 on track at the moment, as Damon has just put in a 23.9, and our Kelly, or Robbie Kelly, has put in a 24.2. So actually, I mean, these are early times yet. We're going to be seeing faster times than this, but that's going to be Jordan on pole with a 23.5, so the first person to beat Callan there, and Callan's still up there. I mean, we'll see what happens towards the end of the session. Maybe a chance for a top 10 or even a top 8 here, potentially.
I was gonna say, do you want to take back the fact that we might not be able to see a 22 here? Because I got a feeling if that's Jordan's out lap, I got a feeling that we're gonna see Jordan coming in at 22 very soon. 6 minutes remaining in qualifying, and definitely trying to get a statement out of everyone that, I'm gonna be in front, and I'm not gonna move away from the front row.
Half a second in qualifying, though, honestly, this might as well be half a year from where I'm standing. But I'm prepared to put my foot in my mouth for this one. So we'll see what happens. As Lily, who had a really strong performance out last time, didn't qualify super well, but still managed to eke out that podium just from getting places off the start, managing their race really well, and being able to sort of hang on to those positions when it mattered. So it was a really hard fought podium for Lily. So hopefully with the times that come in, as that's a new fastest for RK, that's a 23.3, just about a 23.4. So there's still trading times here at the top. That's going to be a 23-1 from Jordan.
Oh.
Well, we still have 5 minutes left. I know there's plenty of time. There's plenty of time. We'll see how that evolves. But I would be really interested to see where Lily ends up by the end of this one, because you know, if there is, you know, sort of another big lap 1 incident here, as that's a little bit too wide into Paddock Hill. Little bit of the same thing for Newt there, but manages to hold on to it. A little bit of a rear slide there on that McLaren 720S, but the Bluey driver going pretty decently around here at this point. And there's our last AMG right there, and holding on to P18 at the moment.
Yeah, but I think I was just noticing while the pros are driving here, definitely could see the differences between our more experienced drivers in the pros and the, not to say slower, they're just a bit less experienced drivers. You can see how the intention behind every single input that these drivers make, how much corner cut they get, how much they gotta send the car on the inside. Oh, that's a bit of a send on the inside, but some drivers might say that it's what you need to go fast in that corner, and sometimes it's more about weighing if it's beneficial for you, or do you want to lose the tire pressure within the remaining of the race. And sometimes, especially in qualifying, who cares if the tires puncture at the end of it? I want my lap time, and people will do everything to eke out that very last tenth can get out of this track.
I want my lap time, and I want it now. This
Definitely.
is, what is this, Indigo around here, going up to P21. That would be a pretty decent starting position for them, but I think we're going to see a faster time before the end of this one, hopefully. Again, you know, 10 minutes is not a lot of time. We talked about this at Imola as well, and this is a faster lap than Imola as well. But you still got to make sure that you put in the time, especially if you're losing a lot by getting onto the grass like that. There's a car in front of Jordan there, almost ruining the lap time there. And ooh, this is looking pretty good on the Delta. Is about 100th away from breaking that barrier. It's pretty fast through there. It's going to be really close, I think, whether this is going to end up being our first 22. So I guess I'm going to have to get ready to eat my words here as we are heading on to the final part of the racetrack here. For Jordan, it's looking very tidy in that Audi R8. We've talked about it before, but that Audi is very unstable, notoriously so. But you can really extract some really strong lap time out of it if you can get on the power. That's going to be a little bit of a bad final sector there for Jordan. So it's only going to be a 23 flat, which I say only, but that's faster than I could go.
Yeah, definitely faster than most of us could go. Plasma coming right off the N24, now back immediately into Brands Hatch. Definitely had a very long driving weekend, so they definitely aren't backing down, even though they have been driving for a different sim and a different time, but definitely showing that they are what it takes to be basically a professional esports driver, and basically showing the world how it's done, especially in the Audi as well. The Audi is not a very easy car to drive. It is temperamental, it slides a lot, but if you know how to drive it like Jordan does, you basically extract all the pace out of it. It's definitely a very fun car to drive. Well, fun in a very generous term for sure.
I'm not so generous, honestly. I really think it's a lot of fun. It was when I was a little baby sim racer. That was one of the first combos that I really remember running over and over again. Was the Audi Evo 2 at Brands Hatch, just trying to get as much lap time out of it as I could. Here's Nicholas Son, the Cabal Lexus here. One of I think a couple of Cabal Lexuses in this race here, heading around the final corner at this point, is really competing with Ares here for that last little bit of lap time, and that is going to be the 22.8 from Jordan. So there you go. That's it.
You're shooting right now, right here, and Jordan.
I'm eating it right now.
But yeah, and it's gonna be, we're waiting for Damon to basically figure out how they're gonna answer that gap. Basically 2 tenths right now is the gap between P1 and P2. That has to close in the race, or else we're gonna just see Plasma walking away. But walking away is one thing. Gotta remember, with a short track, you have problems with traffic. Traffic management is a big problem here, and you gotta make sure that you have the right planning, the right luck to even get through the blue flags safely and cleanly. Speaking of blue flags though, we had a few blue flag incidents last time around, and this time around the stewards have reminded everyone to basically review back what Simufur has talked about previously in terms of our blue flags requirements, how to get around them, how to get by drivers and let people by. It's how we make sure that we can get a very safe and very fun racing here, and I hope the drivers are able to basically reference it and make the decision to be basically better to prevent any sort of blue flag incidents this time around.
Yeah, exactly. Lots of fun racing around here. Not a lot of fun is getting stuck behind a slower car in qualifying, as Chris seems to be at the moment, is riding the tail of that Ferrari 296 all the way around. And especially because this is going to be Chris's last lap, might actually get a little bit of a tow out of it, honestly. But that's going to be a P3 from Chris, so I was just about to say that it was the P1, P2, P3 that we were expecting from this one between Jordan, Damon, and RK. But Chris up there, putting the AMG on the second row. That is a very impressive lap time there. That's a 23.3, and RK is not on the track anymore, so that's basically going to be it for qualifying, unless Lily has anything to say about it. Heading around the final corner right now is on a really good lap, so might be able to put it up there on the third or fourth row. We'll see what it looks like as we're coming around onto the start-finish straight. It's a little bit of a time loss there, but it's going to be a good lap. It's going to be... That's going to be a P3 for Lily, taking it away from Chris by less than a tenth for sure. It might be less than half a tenth. So we are set up for 300th. So we're set up for an incredibly competitive top 5 here. I'm excited.
Well, excited is one thing. I think all of them also want to make sure they survive turn 1. Turn 1 has been notoriously eventful at Brands Hatch, up the hill. And given that it's slightly off camber, it's not the most fun corner to take side by side, and drivers need to make sure that they, one, don't carry too much speed through there, and two, don't mount the curb on the inside too much, or also get spit out wide. That's how you get a very big pile up here. But so long as the drivers remember, it shouldn't be it should be all right. The pros usually kind of navigate well, but it's also the same class that we see the biggest fights on. So anything could happen, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that we don't commentators curse that we're gonna have a very smooth race start this time around.
When has that ever happened before? We'll be fine.
Knock on every wood I have right here. Where's my piece of wood?
Not the qualifying that RK wanted, though. I'll say that kind of happened too at the end of Imola. Ended up P4 and was able to get a really good start off the line and sort of capitalize on a lot of fighting in front to get back into contention for the win. And in my mind, was a really big reason why they ended up securing that P2 after the penalties. But again, here starting all the way back on the third row, so pretty far away from the leaders, is going to have to get through Lily and Chris if they want to. If they want to be able to fight for the win around here and around a track like Brands, I think if you're Lily here, you probably, I mean, given their performance sort of last week, I think Lily here is probably pretty aware that that they qualified a little bit above where they're kind of expected to be, and so there might be a bit more of an incentive for Lily to kind of create a train here as much as they can to try to control this one and see if they can hold on to that position by the end.
Yeah, we're gonna have slowly get on the grid walk as the drivers start to get on the grid. We'll try to start to see Jordan right here in the Audi in P1. We're gonna do this slightly quick because the drivers will be getting ready to get their fuel and get ready for rolling. Damon in P2 in the McLaren. Nice to see the RP car right there. Lily, the first Porsche on the grid. Nice to see them in P3. It's going to be a very strong fight with Chris in the Mercedes AMG in P4. A nice Dutch representing TGR here. Right behind them is the teammate RK in the Nissan. Really nice to see a Nissan that's basically pretty old at this point, still fighting for contention. Behind them is the rival Newt in Blue E in the McLaren. Pretty strong McLaren here, and it's going to be a really nice run for them. Aiden running on their own, actually on their team ADN with the Lexus. It's going to be pretty good. Behind them, Calhoun in P8 in the BMW. Bluey driver here again, and behind them is the rival Electroshock in the BMW at P9, racing for TGR. And the teammate behind them in P10, Flossie in the Porsche. nice to see the TGRs are side by side, but hopefully they don't get mixed up into things. And Philip right here, the first Cabal car in the Ford Mustang in P11. Behind them will be Inigo Lopez in the Blue E car in the Ferrari, their favorite car of all time, usually driving the Ferrari right here. P13, Fabio Sal in Lexus. Nice car with their persona on the car itself. Nice black Vanta black car right here. Parker Olsen in TGR right now in P14 in the McLaren car number 74. Nice to see them in P14. RS, our favorites in silver last time around, this time around in P15 in the Huracan. Nice to see a Huracan on the grid. It's really rare to see them over here usually. Second Cabal driver on the grid, Nicholas Zahn in P16 in Lexus, and behind them in P17 is Saber Kitsune in the Nissan GTR, another GTR driver here on the grid. Sierra Thompson comes in at P18 in Lexus. We're getting more Lexuses here and less GTRs, so hopefully we'll get them more next time around. Daniel Tabiner in the Aston Martin. Nice to see that Aston Martin on the grid. Sauce Dragon P20 representing RRP in the composite livery in the BMW, and Sagcat, the second Huracan in P21, and P22 will be played with Kage Kiyo. Nice to see them here driving for RRP. Glad to see them in the Lexus as usual. Adam Nohalim in P23, the third Cabal driver here in Cabal, and it's going to be 10 seconds less to the rolling, but we'll continue on. Zephyr P24 in the McLaren, our third RRP car if I remember correctly, and P25 will be Skylar Vixen, our only Honda driver on the grid. Behind them, Swingley in the Porsche for G42. Nice to see a G42 car on the grid. Kvyat Defrays in our Escargot car. Nice to see Escargot being on the grid. Sad to see that we don't have Simon Lock over here, but it'll be nice to see JPEG coming in P28. Our Kiwi in the Porsche coming in P29. Sarah Amberson in ARF Racing in the Mercedes AMG. As you can hear the driver start to roll off. Fraser McDonald in P30 in the 69 Cabal BMW. P31 Wolfin in the Blue E BMW in car number 529. Cohen Van Hove in our first Bentley in the car 404 coming in P32. P33 will be our Nissan GTR Manuel Benavides for Tokyo Ghost Racing. Race Dragon Ragnar in P34. Nice to see Ragnar on the grid with us driving the Nissan GTR. P35 Maston Dremer driving for Blue E's junior team, I believe, and it's going to be driving in the Aston Martin. Nice to see them here. And the last one on the grid will be Classy Fanakin, the last Aston Martin on the grid. Good lord, 36 drivers on the track right now. It's a very long grid walk, but it's nice to see so much drivers on Simufur this time around. It's going to be a nice race start, and it's going to be Jordan starting it all for everyone else. So it's going to be interesting to see how the race start happens for the rest of the grid.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think if you have the inside line on the sort of double file rolling start, I feel like there's probably going to be a really, really good chance that you're going to be able to keep that position unless you get just a really terrible start. We might see that further on kind of down the field, and you know, obviously anything can happen if somebody decides to really try to send one around the outside of turn one. It's the way that corner is sort of profiled where you can't really see the bottom of it. There are so many moments where you almost see like the mirage of like, oh my god, I can feel this move, like I can feel like I can make this work, and the road just ends before you think it does, and you end up in the sand. So hopefully that doesn't happen. As we're going double file here for the start, it's going to be the inside for Jordan, the outside for Damon, and I think if you're Damon here, you really just kind of want to see if you can. Damon's priority here is going to be holding off Lily for P2 here, and then kind of once they get settled in, we'll be able to fight with Jordan for the win, as we are about to get going any second here for the green flag.
Yeah, double file right here. Jordan trying to be as forward as possible, but Damon definitely don't want to let them go. I think it's gonna be a very interesting way. Look for the two of them, see what the strategy is at the green flag. We're gonna slowly listen to the race control to give us green flags. Hopefully we'll hear it as they come through the start finish straight. When will the green flag drop? And it's gonna be green lights, and lights are away we go. Jordan on the inside though. Will RP will Damon be in the behind? No, Lily's on the inside though. Will they be able to have a clean start? Yes, they will. And Jordan's right now already away from the rest of the grid.
Yeah, that was a huge start from Jordan there, as RK getting on the inside of Lily there, and this looks like an incredible start from RK, exactly what they wanted, an absolutely perfect repeat of Imola, where they were able to sort of jump up a couple positions on the start there. That's a fantastic move around the outside there for RK into turn 3, and that is got to be frustrating for Lily, but they're coming back at it a little bit. You can see the Porsche being very big there in the rear view for RK, so it's you know, further on in this race we might be able to see Lily come back, but for now it's going to be P1, P3 line astern, and it is already almost a 2-second gap to Jordan in front. Very similar to what we saw. That's going to be a very big pile. Lots of yellow triangles on our timing screen at the moment. No code 50 call as it stands right now. We still have a couple of cars stopped. That's Electroshock there falling down the order, backing up. Tried to back up into the grass there to get out of the way, or just to try to get back onto the track, and ended up backing directly into the Porsche there. So we're gonna need a replay of that. That's another BMW sliding off. Oh, there are so many cars off at the moment. Lots of red on my timing screen right now. We'll see how that happened.
Yeah, definitely interesting to see what has happened here. Oh my god, that is Ragnar. Got unable to break in time for everyone. All that is just ping pong balls everywhere for that long right hander down into Hawthorne Hills. So everyone's still going off there. It's definitely a very interesting run by everyone, but definitely more angles to come in a bit maybe. But for now, the drivers some are getting towed back into the pits, but definitely a very messy start for most of them. That's that. That is that is just unfortunate for the actual shot. Got spun. For what it seems like they tried to not move out of the way for everyone, but they just got collected again by Mercedes. Not sure what has happened there, and then the third time JPEG being in the way, that is going to be a very unfortunate event for them.
Yeah, and again, we didn't hear not so much as a code 50 call there from race control, so we're still circulating out there. We're still under green flag. It looks like most of the drivers who were off have either teleported back to the pits or have managed to get it going again. So we'll be keeping an eye on which one of these drivers might be carrying damage from there. But we do have a couple of pretty big winners there from that incident, as Jordan pumps in the fastest lap of the race. That's going to be a pretty common theme, I think, throughout this one. Vossi up 1 position from their grid spot right now, is chasing down Cowland there in the silver BMW. So different classes here, like we said. It's going to be interesting to see kind of how this unfolds, and whether Cowland is going to jump out of the way or try to fight to hold on to that P8. Further on up the field, we have Aiden Larson trying to make a move at Newt here, both of them right where they started in P6 and P7. So we're going to see how that works out. Aiden right now is actually leading the speed trap at 250 kilometers per hour. So at least in a straight line is the fastest car on track at the moment. So that is going to be an interesting fight there, as Newt themselves is trying to push up to Chris in P5, losing 1 position, excuse me, from the start of this one, as that was very much cutting the inside of Sheen Corner there, and that's probably going to be a track warning. We should probably also watch out for track warnings around this track. I imagine that might happen quite often. We might even see some penalties handed out for cutting the track before the end of this one.
Yeah, and just to remind everyone, 3 cut warnings is the most you can get. The 4th one gets you a drive-through penalty. Usually drivers are allowed to cut, not allowed, are kind of given leniency to cut, to go on wide a little bit, so long as there's no time gain. But usually if the stewards deem that you can gain a significant advantage on certain corners, especially on the exit of this corner right here, if you take the gutter too much, you might get a driver's a warning for exceeding track limits, and get 4 of these, you get immediate drive through, and that's going to be a very long drive, not really long, but unnecessarily long, slow section that you're going to have to drive through the pit lane just to serve that penalty. I see here, it's going to happen. That is going to be a touch that's seen from a long way, while it's going to be P17 Philip getting touched by, who is that in the Mustang, in the car right behind them. I didn't see that through just then.
I'm not sure what. I think it might have been Wolfen. It was one of the BMWs, but that was a tough incident there. I think just got a little bit too squirrely there, and that would be Sierra behind there in that case, because Sierra looks to be carrying quite a bit of damage there. That hood barely hanging on, it looks like. So going to be has kind of tumbled down a little bit to P22 and looks set to lose a couple more positions. But we were talking about everybody sort of getting on board the Lily train at the beginning of this one. That kind of seems to have happened, but it's more that everybody's kind of getting on board the RK train at this point, because RK has fallen back a little bit from Damon, is still within a second, but that time is decreasing a little bit here. And here we go. It's kind of our best impersonation of Monaco at this point, as our drivers continue to circulate line astern, and not a whole lot of moves really possible at this stage of the race. I'm sure most of them are just kind of looking to manage their tires as best they can at this point, and see if they can win out in the pits.
The only thing I could say is choo-choo, get ready to be on board the arcade train. And right now RS trying to gain positions from losing 6 positions at the start of the race, still trying to get past who's that right now in P20. My eyes are a bit not doing well for me, but it's Kvyat right now in P20, so fighting positions right here. I think the overtake should be done in the moments or so, but gotta make sure to take the overtake, make the overtake cleanly. But Kvyat not giving as much, not giving much places for RS to go. On the outside though, that's definitely a smart move for RS to back off a little bit, maybe do a cutback sooner or later. I think that's going to be a move done if they're able to make the dive. No, they're smart enough to not make the dive, and it's going to be another lap for them to make sure that they can have a good run on Kvyat before they make a move for P20. Oh, that's already have happened, given that Kvyat ran a bit wide, maybe being scooped and pressured by RS behind them. That's going to be P20 for RS.
Yeah, you wait another lap, or you wait for the driver to hit the grass, and then you just drive around them. That's basically kind of the MO at this particular racetrack, and I think that was actually a really good example of why it's so hard to overtake around here. As we see a driver pointing the wrong way, that looks to be the NSX of Skylar Vixen, as we take a look back on our replay to see what happened there. Looks like they're and from our camera perspective, look to just drive straight from the right to the left of the screen, and ended up in the wall and spinning around there. So yeah, we're already seeing it happen. This is a race of attrition. If you can just live, it doesn't really matter how fast you go, as long as you stay in the race, you give yourself a chance to get a really good result here. So we'll see how the points look at the end of this one, as Skylar is still trying to get sorted out, and looks to have gotten sorted out now.
Yeah, this is a track that really tells the world consistency is king. No matter what kind of pace you get, if you're not consistent, you're definitely not going to survive here. And these cars trying to fight for position here. JPEG P31 trying to get past. Oh, is that who's asked the car 79 there? Going side by side, coming down into Paddock Hill Bend. Definitely not the right move, and the car's just going everywhere. This is such a weird spot to be everyone. Jordan Johnson already lapping everyone, and everyone's just trying to get out of the way, and JPEG being slightly in the way, but they definitely had the intentions to let them by, just a little bit different, a little bit hard for Jordan to get by all the traffic that's happening here in Brands Hatch. Oh, chaos everywhere. Who is that?
Yeah, that looks like Mastone there, taking out some of the marker boards for turn 4 there. So looking to get back on the track at the moment, but. Yeah, Jordan and Blue Flags name a less iconic duo, I suppose, as they get kind of yeah, that's every single marker gone for that corner. So not really what you want to see there. The rest of the drivers are going to have to try to figure that out. And barely 10 minutes have passed in this one, and I think we're already seeing on these track shots, it's kind of hard to find a car that's undamaged or doesn't have at least a few scuffs on the front or on the rear. So definitely for everybody who's still circulating right now, they've done a really good job to get around it. And yeah, it looks like that traffic didn't really treat Damon too kindly either, as the Lily has appeared to have been gotten really close here, and the RK train has turned into the Damon train, as the traffic seems to have bunched everybody back up again, and it's almost looking like lap 1 out there, out front, as that's a little bit too much. too much speed there for Chris, and gave Lily just a little bit of a tap to let him know that they were still there. So we'll see how this continues to evolve. I think we'll be at least another, if they're already lapping traffic with 10 minutes in this race, that's going to be at least 5 or 6 times through. That'll be wild to see.
I'll feel bad for the lap traffic there, because getting lapped 5 times is definitely not fun. But given that how close RK is to Damon, it's gonna be insane to see how they're gonna make the overtake. Though you see that the GTRs go very good on the brakes, always seeing RK carrying more speed than Damon on most corners here, especially in the heavy braking points. So it's gonna be up to RK to figure out how they can maximize the exit to make sure that they can have a good run on Damon, because there's no point going to the bumper of your opponent if they're not just gonna pass them. If they're in the way, you can't really just punt them away. So you gotta have to make sure you strategize, understand where you gotta overtake, and just make it work when it comes to time.
Yeah, this looks like a decent exit here from Lily, but kind of we saw in the Imola round that even though that Porsche is able to get really strong rotation and really strong traction off lines, it's a little bit of a wiggle there from Arcade. I don't think it's going to be enough for Lily trying to make a move. They're gonna duck to the inside there just as like a little bit of a just, hey, I'm here, don't forget about me kind of move. But just trying to put on as much pressure as they can here to force RK into a mistake, and it seems to be kind of already working, as that's going to be Sierra off, it looks like, is able to rejoin the track without spinning into the wall, so that's good, and Sierra's race just kind of continuing to unravel here, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely cracking under pressure, and also just, I think when you make a mistake or something happens at the start of the race, your kind of focus and your mojo kind of just loses with the race, and it's up to the stronger drivers to have stronger mentality to just keep it together and get a recovery drive. But if you don't, you're just gonna keep falling in. I think that's what you're seeing with Sierra, as currently Newbie and P9 fighting for position, the pole for Silver class in P8. It's gonna be pretty close. Like and the exit, that just means the Lexus might get a good run, but the BMW is on the inside, side by side, coming down into clearways. Who's gonna be on the inside? It's gonna be the BMW that has it, but the Lexus is trying to get a switchback. Has it on the start-finish straight, gonna be side by side, down into the start-finish straight. Who will be the bravest coming down the backfield bend? Who will break the earliest or the latest? Still side by side, and Newbie just bailed on it just to make sure that they survive it. But currently, Vossi currently looking at the both of them, trying to get out of the way just so he can continue fighting on for P7, which is the next car in his class for position.
Yeah, this has got to be really tough if you're Vossi being behind these two, not only in a different class, but also battling each other and slowing you down in the process. I don't know if Vossi is going to get another chance to get around these two sort of before the end of this lap, so it's probably going to be another slow lap here for Vossi, and all the while Aiden up in front is going to be pulling away. So Vossi's going to have to try something a little bit different here to try to get around, as that's going to be very wide for Newt there, and that's going to be them side by side again into some of the highest speed corners of the racetrack. That is going to be so frustrating for Vossi. Vossi trying to get to the outside, but has to back out of it again. And it might have been contact, I couldn't quite tell, or whether that was just some sudden deceleration there from Vossi as they had to back out of the lap there. And this is absolutely brutal, and in fact is backing Vossi into Parker behind, who I think also is not battling them for position. I think that's a gold driver on a pro driver, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be really tough for them. And this is not where you want to be at this point in the race.
Definitely not, especially the fact that the car in front is just making so much mistakes. As the car behind, you don't want to impede their race, but at the same time you want to get past. It's kind of finding a way to negotiate the fact that you can continue your race later on when I pass you, but you gotta figure out how to do it in a kind of neutral but forceful manner, just so that you could get them to continue their racing once you're done. But please get out of the way before you do.
That's good advice, I think. I mean, we'll see. Neither of them want to give up any time at all, because they are still deep in this battle, and giving up time necessarily means that they're giving up time to their direct opponent, as Parker now is fully joined this train now at the moment, and it looks like all of the sort of distinct trains that we have going on at the moment have basically just held position where they are. We have basically the exact same order as it was after lap 1 for P1 through P7, and then it's going to be the same order basically from P8 on down to Parker there in P11. So it's really, really tough around here. Again, lots of drivers really close, but just no real action possible, either under the brakes or in the traction zones or anything really. But we can see there a lot of drivers gaining quite a few positions, especially off the back of that giant pile up there at around like lap 1, lap 2. So they're just going to be really looking to bring this one home wherever they are. And we'll continue to see whether any battles evolve throughout the rest of this one.
Yeah, I just now saw that Inigo already fighting strong for the position for P12. Currently, the BMW in front of them is the driver that is in the way, but the fight still goes on. Hopefully, there is some.
It's a bit wide for Fossey.
Some fight. Ooh, a little bit wide for Fossey. That is true. Parker also though, right behind them. Maybe make a move. We'll see as the board goes away for them. But oh, Fossey though. The door slightly open, left it slightly open, but closed it immediately for the corner. If it closes it any further later, Parker will just need to move on the inside. But the gap here, within 3 to 4 tenths of each other, so it's definitely there to make a move. But you gotta be really brave and make no mistakes to make sure that we can make the move stick. But for now, it's gonna be still a continued fight for track positions between Parker Olsen as well as Fossey for these few laps.
Yeah, Parker getting a little bit of a taste of their own medicine, I think, from the Immel round where they were able to keep Lily behind lap after lap after lap after lap, just doing as much as they possibly could to get that one going, as the aforementioned Lily and Chris are now very, very close to each other on the racetrack, as they have been basically since the start of this one. It has to be stressful running so close to all these other cars for this long, especially around a racetrack that's this short. So it's been a really good race from Lily so far, I think, aside from just losing that position out to RK in the sort of the first lap. And you can see kind of what we've been illustrating the entire time of like why it's so hard to overtake around here is that this is purportedly the longest straight on the racetrack. This is the fastest you go. Sort of where you hit that speed trap line, sort of at the end of that straight. But then it goes on to one of the higher speed corners of the racetrack, and it's just you don't have enough time to brake in there to really make a move happen. And even if you did, you would both lose so much time that it's just not even worth it. You just want to duck behind and basically wait for a better opportunity to turn one or what have you, as Kvik getting very, very close to the back of the Cabal Mustang there in the Escargot Aston Martin there. And again, same exact story. They just need to, run line astern, basically. I'm sure the two of them are kind of going to be working together a little bit to push up to the group in front. Racing is a little bit more of a cooperative sport than you think it is at times, especially at a racetrack like this, where you just kind of want to say, okay, I don't think there's any point in me fighting you at all, as we see some blue flags getting waved, and it looks like that the number 5 Nissan in front is the one getting those blue flags, and so they're just looking to work through each other as much as they can. As that's very slow. Another bad blue flag incident there. Just kind of like hit the brakes on the exit of the final corner. Not really what you want to do if you're a lapped car in that situation. The speed difference is already high enough that you don't want to be hitting the brakes and catching the driver behind you by surprise.
Gave me a jump scare having a face full of the GTR right in front of me suddenly. That was something. But yeah, it's definitely to be fair, it's a really hard track to lap traffic by. You don't really get much. You really don't really get much place to overtake. I can't imagine where do you want to let people by here. And the most safest place would be the straight, but that's gonna be so far down into the lap. You can't just expect it to be by the straight every single time, because you want to actually maximize the rest of the track as well. And it's just unfortunate timing, I assume. But right now Damon's still getting pressured by RK. Sooner or later they have to make a move. Will they undercut? Will they overcut? That is the question. Lily running a bit wide though, because they just can't almost run into the back of RK in the GTR, and then the pit window has opened. drivers need to really think about pitting in. I have a feeling some of these drivers will pit in early to pick an undercut, but the question is how early will it be? You can't be too early, because once you pit in too early, the blue flags start waving. That's when you lose a bunch of time, because you have the blue flags waving at you, trying to let faster, quote unquote, faster drivers by. That's when you have to prove yourself that you're not fast, you're not slower, and start to run away. But that's gonna be hard if it just constantly flashes at you every single corner.
Yeah, as we get back to Jordan here, having a bit of a lazy Sunday, good for them, I suppose. But it's again, running into the lap traffic here. This is actually quite a few cars that Jordan needs to clear, and I think even if you're Jordan in this situation, I would almost think about pitting right now and just getting out of all of this traffic. It might be you might be losing more time behind these cars right now than you would if you just took tires now, as one of them goes ahead and ducks into the pits. So that takes one of those options off the table. But yeah, I think we saw kind of earlier in the lap that Jordan was maybe 6 seconds ahead of basically this entire group, as that's RK into the pits. So honestly, I really like that strategy call from RK. You're losing 56 seconds here, and could pit out into traffic and potentially lose a lot of time. But I do really like this move. If you're kind of part of this really tight group, you want to use those fresh tires as much as you can and try to see if you can get in front of the line. I think there's a really good possibility that they get in front of it, and I think that was basically just RK covering off the undercut attempt from maybe some of the other cars behind. So we'll see what these guys do if they want to run a little bit longer to see if they can get sort of fresher tires at the end of the race. Or I mean, it's going to be a little bit of a game of chicken here. So that's Lily making a bit of a mistake there, but is just barely able to hang on to it. That was some incredible car control from that driver there. So Lily managing to hold on to P3. As of right now, that has to be one of the most frustrating things you can see if you're Chris.
Yeah, definitely one of the sketchiest re-entry. Not really a sketchy re-entry, but sketchy part of driving behind a car that's basically gone off. You really have to think about if they're gonna come in stable, unstable. Do you need to brake early to get to basically avoid them spinning out in front of you? But yeah, glad to see them recovering just about right before the braking zone. Also, they definitely have to spin from braking on grass. Currently, the Sosh in P12 in the Confuzzle Mustang going strong here. 8 positions gained since the start of the race. Definitely benefited from the chaos that was the start of the race today, and definitely pretty strong here. P7 is Fabio with 6 positions gained. So a lot of cars trying to gain more positions, and currently P6 just flashing at blue flags, trying to get them by as soon as possible, just so they don't lose the positions with Newbie right here, P7.
Yeah, I was about to say, just seeing the lights flashing as we're trying to get around these lap cars as much as possible. At this point, with the get out of the way, exactly. At this point, with the field all shaken up by that entire by that huge incident there at the start, and then all of the pits happening now, just everybody is out of position at this point, and that's definitely it's creating some pace differentials where we didn't see it before, where there are going to be a lot of drivers that are going to be really desperate to get around, and they're just not going to be able to. So of the top runners here at this point yet to pit, we have Jordan out in front, yet to pit. Chris and Lily are both, or Lily just went into the pits right now, so that's Lily trying to get the jump on Chris at this point. I really like that strategy call as well. We'll see if they end up out in front of RK, or if RK has lost enough time trying to get through these back markers that the undercut doesn't work out for them. Well, they're coming around sort of sector 2 at this point, and it is a long pit stop, but Lily is stopped right now, so that's going to be 30 seconds stationary, and then the time that it takes for you to get to and from the pit lane. So we'll see where they end up by the end of that, as RK is heading on down towards Clearways now. Final little stretch before the start-finish straight, and that's Lily out of the pits right now, so Lily is going to be well in front of RK, and that is an immaculately called strategy call for Lily.
Yeah, definitely you could see that Lily was already kind of slightly held behind by RK during the train in front of Damon. But right now, just now giving held up by blue flags definitely has cost RK a lot of time lost. But it's still not done yet. 34 minutes remaining in this race. You're gonna have to basically fight. I was gonna say start wearing your tires just to gain that pace. And Lily's already at the back of Damon, pushing really hard to make sure that they can make it over to the end. So luckily for them, keeping it in track, but I suspect a track cut warning. Might as well use it, I suppose, given that you have 3 to use before you get drive-through. Might as well use all 3 of them, given that they're kind of quote-unquote allowed.
Yeah, I mean, that's a straight-up fight for what's going to turn into second position between Lily and the current leader of the championship. So I think Lily's put themselves in a fantastic position for the rest of this one, as I don't imagine that Jordan's going to have any problems getting out in front of the rest of this group. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be about 10 seconds now to the rest of them, as it looks like Jordan might be pulling out right now.
Jordan has slow stop. Just want to let you know they stopped for 42 seconds. I'm not sure what has happened. Maybe a bit of damage, but that has caused them to come out a bit behind. From
damage from back markers, I guess. That's the only thing I can think of. So now, I was just talking about how this is a fight for what's going to turn into P2. It's a fight that's going to turn into the lead. And RK is not that far behind Jordan now, so Jordan's now going to be trying to hold on to third at this point, and is going to be fighting with RK for fourth. We'll see if Jordan is able to sort of.
Jordan's parked it.
Jordan's parked it.
Yeah, I think Jordan has had enough of it. Not sure what's happened, but that means RK. I think it might have been Jordan getting a stop goal 30. Who knows? We might have to see it in a bit, but that's unfortunate for Jordan, and that means Damon might get the win this time around if Lily doesn't get past him. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens. Definitely. That might have been I think the 42 seconds was probably damage repair from from maybe some contact with some back markers trying to lap those, but then that in conjunction with what may well have been either a track cut violation or what I think is probably more likely is a pit lane speed limit violation. So that pretty much undid Jordan's race, and so that's why they parked it at that point. So a disappointing day for Jordan, not what they would have wanted, being on pole and sort of cruising in front, but it's now God, that's so scary. And now Vossi's trying to hold on to the inside there with these blue flags. It is just absolute chaos out there today. It is unbelievable.
Yeah, and I got news from the driver's chat that it might have been a pit lane speed limit issue for Jordan, and that's going to be unfortunate for them. With Vossi right now trying to get past Kalun, but the BMW definitely not letting by as he come into the pits. Vossi definitely not going to be happy with the fact that he got held up so much, and right now he's fighting back for position. Will be the car right with the Lexus right behind them, all coming down into pit exit right between the drivers, and currently Vossi still fighting currently in P2 before coming into the pits for sure.
Yeah, I think if you're Vossi at this point, honestly, you have clear air in front of you. Just I would stay out as long as you can until you either run out of fuel or you hit the end of the pit limit window. I don't know exactly how much fuel Vossi is carrying right now, but I feel like that's kind of what I would do if I was in this situation, because I've already I fought too hard to get into this clear air. It's just so that I can dive into the pits, basically. It's like just trying to get through all those back markers. It's really tough. So anyway, we have Zahn here fighting for what is P6 right now, but will turn into a lower position after the sort of pit cycle is over. Everybody from P1 to P11 has not pitted at this point. So Damon, the first of the pitters, followed by Lily, followed by Chris, who's on for a really strong P3 if they can hold on to that. And Newt there also has clawed back quite a bit and is actually in front of RK at this point, sort of after the pit cycle. So it must have been a really good pit from Newt here. So Newt's in a really strong position to take this one.
Yeah, nice to see Newt still fighting for position, but RK already right behind Newt at 4/10 of a second. So I don't think it's gonna be held on for much longer. Currently though, the number 5 GTR right in front of them. I think that's gonna be a brand marker. But nice to see them get out of the way as soon as possible for the cars in front. But yeah, definitely it's gonna be not so long before RK kind of makes a move on Newt, I would assume, and Newt's gonna have to make a very hard move to defend it, or it's just gonna be gone right there and then.
Yeah, I guess if you're Newt at this point, I guess RK is your race. Like, I mean, it would be hard, I think, at this point to say like, okay, I'm just gonna like let them through because I don't think that I'm faster because, like at this point, you know, we've been talking about over and over and over again today how hard it is to overtake around this track. So if you're Newt, I think you're fighting for this tooth and nail as much as you can get it as this battle continues to heat up here. I'm actually really impressed at Lily for being able to stick on this close to the back of Damon for this long. And this is still for the race lead, so I imagine that if it continues like this, they'll be pushing Damon along basically until the checkered flag in about half an hour, which half an hour has to feel like a very long time to go for Damon at this point. It's going to be at least another, I don't know, 22 laps at this point. So that's a lot of opportunities for things to go wrong, especially with the way that we've been seeing the traffic get handled this race.
Yeah, it's nice to see. It's definitely a very hard track to handle traffic. Blue flags can wave left, right, and center. I don't envy the stewards here. Basically, not the stewards, the marshals here, just waving blue flags left, here, there, everywhere. You just gotta keep track of all of them. And right now, Aiden currently P1. Obviously, the cars have not pitted just yet, but Lexus on Lexus action right here with the Lexus in front of them. But they'll, we'll see when they pit. The pit window, there's still about 7-8 minutes remaining to the pit window closes. So you gotta figure out when you gotta pit, but it's gotta be within those 8 minutes. And if you have to fuel, you know, why not do it? But if you're behind traffic like how Aiden is, you might as well take the pit now and just go on for the remaining of the race.
Yeah, either this lap or the next one, I think, would probably be my guess. As we see Parker getting through Fabio there, looks like they're able to sort of get up into P10 at this point. So that's going to be the last silver for Parker to clear at this point. And now they're pushing up to RK up in front, which I think we've seen Parker and Newt both kind of having really similar pace around here. So that's going to be a very brave move for RK through the second sector of the racetrack. They're on their way up through Sheen. That's a little bit of a bump through Sheen corner. That's going to be Newt getting a little bit squirrely there on the apex of Sheen. So that was a very brave move from RK, and it ended up working out. But really good respect between the two of them to keep that one clean. That looked like it was really scary there for a couple of seconds.
That is definitely not a request. That is not a suggestion. That is definitely a request that I'm definitely going to pass you right here, right now. And luckily, no one crashed out. But definitely not a move that you can do on any other driver. I'm glad that both of them at least keep it together, kept it clean, somewhat clean. But right now, the move done, and it'll be going to be a fight for Lily and Demon, in front of them currently for the lead of the race.
Yeah, it's a long way to go on those tires for both of them. I think they're just about equal on tire life, if I'm not super mistaken. It looks like as they're in P4 and P5, so just a couple more cars who need to pit, and that's Vossi in the pits now. So it looks like yeah. So Lily and Damon are both about on the exact same stint length. I think there's like maybe a minute in it for them. So I think Lily has about 1 lap newer tires. That's going to be a blue flag, giving an opportunity for Lily to stick their nose up the inside, up the outside, weaving all over the track, trying to find an opening, not able to get it, and is going to try to get that Porsche to get that traction off of the final corner. We're on our way up to Paddock Hill Bend here. Damon is going to defend the inside. inside pretty strongly here, and Lily's going to be forced to the outside. That looks like it's going to be a pretty strong defense there from them. Lily's going to try to cut back maybe for Druids, but Damon doing exactly what they needed to do at that point, just putting their car in the middle of the racetrack and not really giving Lily anywhere to go. So it's going to be at least another lap between these two.
Yeah, definitely going to be a very long fight. 24 minutes in this race. I don't think Damon's gonna shake Lily off anytime soon, and Lily, being the confident driver that they are, definitely gonna stay behind them as much as possible. Maybe a last-minute dive here or two as the time ticks on, but that's not gonna be. I assume that's not gonna be in here for like another 10 to 15 minutes. But right now, the Vossi getting pressured by Fabio right now in P10. Not really positions for the class, but positions overall. So definitely, it's either Fabio wants Vossi to pick up the pace, or Vossi might actually think about giving, I was gonna say giving Vossi a bump drop. That's not happening, going side by side coming down into Hawthorne's. Will that stick though? The side by side, will someone get pushed out? No, they won't. Side by side, pretty respectful, but time lost. You really do not want to lose time here, especially given the fact that you have an opponent right behind them. But right now, I think that's Fabio's strategy. Get Vossi right in between them, at least, you know, have Vossi fight against the BMW behind them rather than having himself in the Lexus fight the BMW behind them.
Yeah, exactly. That's the colder tires there coming right out of the pits for Vossi. Just didn't have the grip to be able to fight that one, and that's, I mean, immensely frustrating, especially because they were able to get out of the pits right in front, basically, and so they thought that they did everything they needed to do to sort of like clear that car, but then the cold tires coming back there, and they were able to undercut on them. So here's a fight between Arez and Taberner in front. This is, again, not for position. We have a lot of fights going on that aren't for a position at this point, and that's been a pretty common theme for today. I believe we have, what is it, 3 more drivers who have not yet pit. We have Aiden in front and Zahn in front, and then kind of Van Hove down there in P18 also has not pitted and actually just went into the pits right now. So just a couple more. We have a couple more minutes on this pit window. You can go around maybe 1 or 2 more times before it closes, but you don't really want to play around with that too much, because if you don't end up serving it within that limit, you are absolutely going to get slapped with a penalty for that.
Definitely, and the Lexus will benefit a lot with pitting in as late as possible. We want a fresh tire to basically push it on the very last stint, but as you said, you don't want to mess things up. Once you mess it up, it's going to be more than the time loss that you have from driving with pretty much worn tires within your first stint. So you might as well start pitting it now. Be a bit more safe. You know, at least you still get some tire at the end instead of having fresher tires, but it's still better safe than sorry, am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's always what I say when I do pit strategy, is just be as safe as you can. Sidecat pulling off to the side of the road here is turned on that right indicator to say that they're going to be letting RK through, and that still, I think, ended up, even with the sort of like clear intentions there and the indicator, that was still a little bit of a hairy moment there between the lap traffic. So again, even if you're doing exactly what you need to do to get out of the way of the leaders, it's still, you know, you can't really avoid it being super awkward, as that's going to be another super awkward moment there at the exit. We have 4 cars almost going 3 wide there into Druids, thankfully deciding the better of it, and that's really kind of exactly what you want to do when you're a blue flag driver and you're heading into the slow speed stuff like that. It's just take that outside line and let the leaders through as fast as you can with the sort of minimal time loss to them. That's really kind of what you want to do. But that sort of little bit of awkwardness there has opened up Adam a little bit, who is kind of quietly been running a fantastic race, is up 8 positions from where they started, and is currently our AM class leader, and is in fact is not even fighting for the AM lead right now, is fighting between Taberner, who's a pro, and Arez, who's a silver, are those cars right behind, and the next AM is not until Wolfen down in P22. So this is all kind of for fun at this point, as that's going to be a little bit off the grass there for Arez gets back on the track in a timely fashion. So this is just for fun at this point. I think if Adam would be able to finish here in 15th, that would be a really fantastic result for them.
the RS definitely doesn't want to mess up anytime soon. Zephyr is behind them at P18, so you want to make sure that you stay alive. Daniel, though, in the sandwich between an M class in front and a silver class behind, so not the best place to be in, but you know, we have to make do with what we have. Fabio, though, trying to make a move coming down into to Parker at P7. That's going to be a side-by-side. Will that move stick? No, it won't. The McLaren has a better run, but you can't stay for long, though. I think that's going to be an error right then. It's going to be Fabio coming out into P7. That's going to be Parker also behind, and that has pushed Parker also with Volsi. It's not going to stick, though, coming down into that, and it's going to be settled down, and Parker is going to be right. Oh, it's going to be Parker also on the outside. Oh, rejoins, barely saves it, and they're going to be saving it. Woo!
Yeah, very good save there.
Yeah, that was lucky for them that they kept it alive. That's gonna, you know, at least you're down in P10, not in the pits. And luckily for Rossi, that just means I don't need to fight for position. And you know, they could think about having Cowlan in P9 being the shield, but Cowlan definitely doesn't want to stay there for long because they want to fight with Fabio in P7 right now.
So I have a question for Fabio. Actually, is how are you hitting 251 kilometers per hour on the straight? Because you are faster than anybody else on the racetrack, even faster than a lot of the Lexuses. I think the next fastest Lexus is Aiden in front at 250. So I think this is. I mean, it's an incredible race for Fabio to have gotten up to this position. This is up 6 positions from where they started. They're up into P7 at the moment, and the silver win is still in the balance here. Cowlan is not that far behind, and has kind of dropped back 1 position from where they started to Vossi, but that battle is absolutely not decided yet. We have a little less than 20 minutes to go, so. It's going to be a fight to the end for them, as that's a huge speed differential between Sash and the Aston Martin behind. Thankfully, did not come to contact there. It might still come to contact, honestly, as they're heading through the last little bit of Sector 3 here at the moment, and Sash is going really slowly at this point compared to that looks like Saber behind. Am I right about that?
Yes, there is Saber behind them, and I think
so
I think
just
might be short shifting a little bit.
Yeah, it could be low on fuel. Honestly, that's a good call. I didn't really think about that, but we could definitely have ended up with some drivers who maybe miscalculated the fuel and are trying to make sure that they can make it to the end.
Yeah, maybe, but Blade Wolf behind, not appreciating they're getting helped out by the chaos that is in front of them. Definitely wants to get away as soon as possible so they can, you know, at least continue on with their race and just not being impeded by the drivers in front of them. Auras, though, right behind the train of Daniel as well as Adam right now, but Adam gets hip checked into the hairpin. Currently, Adam lost the position there to Daniel, but hopefully not losing more positions. But it's going to be a good run for Adam currently in P16.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that Adam wanted to necessarily lose that position, but at a certain point, I think if you're Daniel in this situation, honestly, kind of 15 minutes left in the race, car in front needs a good hip check. That's what I felt like he was at that point. It's just like, all right, I'm getting around. I've had enough of this, and has already kind of broken away a little bit. So you can see just how much they were getting held up at that point in the race. And now it's going to be ours' turn to see if they can get around. Not really close enough to any of the silvers to make a realistic shot at it at anything more than this P3 at the moment. But it looks like it's going to be a pretty safe P3 because there are no silvers really anywhere within like 10 seconds of them at the moment on track. So it's going to end up being a really good performance for Auras here. I think one of the drivers that ended up getting caught a little bit in that big pileup, which it's been kind of hard for us to keep track of everybody who got in that, but it looks like we're able to get it really, as that's Parker again off into the grass. It's one excursion after another it's been for Parker, and we'll see coming around Druids, it looks like right now, getting into turn 3, and that's tidy there, that's tidy there. worked through that one okay. I think it was through turn 4 that ended up being a problem, and yeah, just braked onto the grass, and that is a really good way to upset the car, and it's really easy to do, especially when you're sort of on the brakes like that. You're kind of committed to whatever straight line trajectory you've picked, and that's really unfortunate. That's going to be a little bit of rubbing between Chris and Lily. Chris has now re-entered this fight for P2 in the race. It looks like Lily has broken away a little bit from Damon in front, is about a second up the road. So I think it's just going to be, unless Lily can get this through here, and you can see how much the rear end of Lily's car is wiggling around in those traction zones right now, is just trying to get the last little bit of life out of those tires, it looks like.
Yeah, definitely. That is the downside of paying slightly early, is that your tires start to go. They might doesn't mean that they go. It just means that they're off the optimum. So they gotta kind of nurse it more than most drivers do, though, and that's gonna be a little bit of a problem that you don't want to worry about. And it's gonna be Sars, I think, running a bit wide there onto that's not Surtees. That's Graham Hill Bend, and that's gonna be invitation for the drivers behind them to slowly overtake them. Nicholas Sando right behind Parker Olsen, trying to make a move that may happen in a bit, but currently in P14 in Lexus, going strong at it to make sure that he can get as much positions as possible before the 14 minutes runs out for this race.
Yeah, that looks like the last big fight for points on the road right now. We have Zahn and the rest of them are sort of duking it out for those lower positions right now. But this is the fight that we're focused on right now, is this fight for P2. Lily having a fantastic day today for putting the car up there on qualifying, for calling the strategy just extremely perfectly on the pit cycle, and has put themselves in a really good position here to hold on to this P2. But now it's just going to be a straight fight basically to the end, and Chris having a couple laps newer tires, and especially with the amount of tire wear on that Porsche, it looks like it's really starting to come into focus now. But again, it's Brands Hatch, so you really have to pick your moment here, as it looks like the NSX there getting out of the way pretty well. Not too much of a time loss for any of them, but it actually was a little bit of a time loss for Damon, so we could still have a fight for the win before the end of this one, but it would have to be a monumental effort at this point, I would think, with about 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, and just now I was talking about tire wear. The Porsche might have strong tire, have pretty horrendous tire wear, but from my time driving the Mercedes, I would say that the Mercedes is also it consumes a lot of tire on the rear tires. So it's gonna be interesting to see how the Mercedes holds on with the Porsche, whose tires will give out first. I think that's gonna be a interesting thing to see. But with how sophisticated the aero for the Mercedes is, it's gonna be interesting to see once they get free air, how much of an improvement they might get compared to them being in the dirty. Or still going a bit wide, trying to, keep up with Daniel in front of them. They can't afford to do this, given that they already P3 in class. There's no point trying to make up for more positions when you have P3 basically secured, trying to make sure that you don't have any issues. At this point, if I'm RS, I wouldn't mind Adam making an overtake on me if it comes here. But right now, the point is to make sure you finish the 11 minutes, basically get this sorted and get points for this entire season.
Yeah, exactly. Just get out of folks' way at this point. And I know that's not fun, because you're a racer and you want to race, but it's sometimes the fastest way to finish a race is not the most fun. As that was an incredible overtake from Zahn there on the inside of Sash. That was really great, as we have a little bit of flashing there between the two of them. It looks like they're sort of weaving down the straight here. It might have been a little bit of animosity between them. I'm not sure exactly if there was any sort of contact that happened in that one.
I think that was a check, that's why.
Yeah, it might have been, but Zahn's not giving the position back, so we'll I guess we'll see in the steward's room whether that gets brought up or not. But Vazzy pulling up to the rear of Fabio here, which they've been looking at basically for this entire race. The sort of the Vanta Black rear of the Lexus there has been a pretty common sight for Vazzy in this one.
Yeah, but I think Vossi also knows that you don't make any sort of weird moves here, even though P7 would be a good position to get points there. But if they time it right, maybe they'll make an overtake. But for now, Inigo Lopez makes is in front of Saber Kitsune. Saber though currently pretty strong on the back of the Ferrari. It's up to the Nissan to basically make a move that might stick, but Nissan's not really the easiest car to make a move, especially not a good car to basically have a stable exit. The Ferrari is definitely more stable in exit, usually, and given how much crest acceleration points there are here, definitely favors the Ferrari more, that looks a bit more planted than the Nissan behind them.
Lily last lap put in a 24.2 versus Damon's 24.5. So, hey, it's heating up a little bit. It looks like the gap has opened up a little bit between them, but that last lap, you know, oh, that's Newt off.
Oh,
so
no.
I don't think that was any sort of loss of position, but that is going to take them out of contention for 5th, which looked like it was going to be a long shot anyway, but no harm done. It looks like, as we see coming around the final corner at this point, and probably just ended up getting on the sand.
Oh,
Not even on the sand, just on the grass, just that little bit of that. That was maybe half of one tire that ended up on the grass, and it was enough to just rip the traction out from under them.
Yeah, I think they got a little bit away of it since they hit the tire barrier. There is some damage still, but at least it's
Oh, there's an overtake there, huh?
Oh?
Chris is in front of Lily.
Oh wait, yeah, I didn't notice that. What happened there?
I'm not sure.
Oh.
But
no, we missed it. I think it's the replay that we missed it. But Lily did have Chris did make a move on Lily here. But it's,
Lily will be so desperate to get that back, though. It's such a good race here to get that second. I mean, I know standing on the podium is always what you want to do at the end of the day. I'm always happy with 3rd, but man, I want 2nd if I'm Lily in this situation.
Oh, we might see. Oh, it's going on.
Using every inch of the racetrack, trying to get the traction off the line there, trying to pull back up and have a response.
Yeah, I think Lily's gonna have a very strong dive on Chris if Chris can keep it. But I got a feeling that the Porsche tires have worn off because the Mercedes is gapping them. I think the aero, finally clean air from the Mercedes, means that Chris can finally get sophisticated front aero and basically have more front grip, and that's shown to be pretty disadvantageous to the Porsche behind them.
Yeah, and Chris does have the youngest tires of this group, so maybe a push to Damon? Who could say? I think at this point it was probably Damon's race to lose at this point, unless anything super major happens, especially if these two keep fighting, which it looks like they're set to. As we see a couple cars going side by side here into, that's a big dive there, but that's on lap traffic, so it didn't really matter for anything. But Sosh there in the Ridge Racer Mustang still sticking pretty close to the back is on here, so we'll see if that ends up turning into a position towards the end of this one. The Mustang also has just a whole lot of rear torque, as you would expect from an American muscle car, and that usually translates into slightly worse tire wear on the rears. That's almost perpendicular and then backwards on the racetrack, and at this point just holding the brakes, trying to let the other cars around. That's exactly what you want to do if you're a spun car in that situation. So some good sort of heads-up awareness there from the NSX to make sure that it didn't get into the bumper of anybody else.
Yeah, definitely. I think again, like they previously done, ran a bit wide, and that's basically death sentence there right there. And Saber had to make invasive actions just in case they basically drift across the entire track. But I think that Skylar basically trying to get a rejoin, but with how busy the track is, that you really just don't get a place to rejoin. I think the best move would be to just basically point the car just where you need it before you get on track, because you're just gonna wait there forever and ever and ever and not get a car for you to basically slot in.
Yeah, exactly. That's just like when a car is just like slowly spinning back onto the track like that, it's like one of the scariest things that you can see when you're behind a car that's doing that, because you have no idea where they're gonna go or where they're gonna end up. And Skylar looks to have gotten back on the track, but is now sort of parked up and letting some other cars through before sort of they get back up to racing speed. This is Chris here is now fighting off RK for P3 as Lily appears to have gotten around again. So and there's quite a gap between them. So I think that might have been a mistake from Chris there to bring RK back into the fight here. They're going to be going pretty close side by side. They're going to be exactly side by side into Druid's corner here, and that is going to be RK's corner all the way around there, sending Chris, and that is going to be a nice and tidy overtake for RK, who might still be in for a P2 in this race if they can catch back up to Lily. But this is a big break for Lily, so we'll see how they handle this at this point, because I think actually RK has the oldest tires, in fact, out of all of this group, but also hasn't been fighting for the last 30 minutes. So that's probably played a lot into the way that the tire wear has gone in this one, and pretty unfortunate for Chris at this point to be in P4.
Yeah, definitely nice. Interesting to see how the strategies plays out. We might take a look at the replay to see what has happened early on, but let's see what has happened here. Chris on the move, or Lily, I think they have Lily made an overtake early on, but side by side coming into turn 1, coming into Pedal Hill Bend. Definitely a really nice side by side fight here, coming down into Pedal Hill Bend, then Druid. So pretty strong fight for the two of them, but it's definitely Chris might have fallen off a lot. Maybe just tire wear, I assume. Maybe that or fuel. But for now, 4 minutes remaining to this race. A lot of action still happening just right before the end of the race. So definitely don't miss out on all this. It's going to be a trap from Chris and RK. Both fighting. There's going to be another car almost cutting into it. That's Aiden right behind them. And definitely don't want to get held up by all the drivers in front trying to fight for position.
If you had told me before the start of this race, as Aiden is now kind of diving up into turn 4 and is trying to take that position away from Chris, who is all the way out on the exit. They're going on to the straight now, and we've seen the Mercedes be really quick in a straight line, but we've also seen Aiden being really quick in a straight line. Aiden actually could be on for a podium at this race. If you had told me at the start of this one that was going to be a possibility, I would not have believed you. And all of this fighting as well has given Lily a gap to P2 here, so that's going to be almost a 3-second gap to Lily from the rest of this group at this point. So what was a battle for P2 in the last couple minutes of this one has turned into a battle for P3, but it's still between 3 cars, and Chris continues getting shuffled backwards.
Yeah, right now basically close to 2 laps remaining, or maybe 3. We'll have to see once the P1 crosses the line into this race, and drivers are trying to basically it's everyone for their own right now, given that there's not much time left and you really have to make every corner count. There's not much time left, and if you don't do it, you're just gonna settle for where you are right now, and some of them might not want that.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like Lily's getting not that far away from Damon at this point. I think it was a couple of more bits of lap traffic that need to happen before the end of this one. They're going to basically end this race right in the middle of the traffic. As you can see, the other RRP car, the one of Damon's teammates up in front, who they're going to have to clear before the end of this race, most likely, as that's a good call from the Mustang there to just pull off the racing line and let both of them through. As a lapped car, the last thing that you want to do is get caught up in a fight between the leaders, for sure, and it's really close now.
No way!
Just barely managed to avoid major damage, it looked like, and was able to continue there, as that's Philip Beckevold there off the track now, and the hood now popped on that Mustang, as Zephyr is also going very slowly. Things are popping off here in the last couple of minutes of this race. It looks like we're going to get a replay of that, and it looked like, just with all the fighting going on between all of the leaders and everything like that, that's Damon right behind there in the other RP car, and that just kind of drove straight off into the sand, trying to rejoin, and that is just
that's unfortunate.
Very poor rejoin there from the Zephyr, and is going to have to go back to the pits and repair that damage, which is going to end up being a retirement of the car at this point, as we have less than a minute left. Leaders across the line not too long ago. I'm not sure if we have the the white flag yet, but this might be sort of the last chance for Lily to get up there, and only 3/10 back right now, so it's still a very, very close fight between these two.
Yeah, very close fight between the two, as you said. So much. 30 seconds remaining to this track. Should be able to cross the line right before, right after the timer ends. But,
Lily will be hoping so, I think.
Yeah, no, actually Damon will be hoping so. Well, yeah, because Lily will want the extra lap, but I think with current 10 seconds remaining, that's not gonna happen. With the final corner coming up, that's gonna be Damon coming in for P1. It is your position 2.
P1 question mark? Yeah. We'll see if it turns into a drag race.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Damon coming in to cross the line. It's gonna be a very close fight, but Damon does win round 2, and there's gonna be Lily coming down the line at P2, and Aiden in P3, Chris in P4. Nice run from Aiden, from finishing from all the way back. Not so far, not really the person we expected to be on the podium, but currently, yeah, I think that's exactly. I think we had an issue with RK. That's exactly why we had some sort of a grid align issue, but it's definitely gonna be Chris in P4, Adrian, Newt in P5, Fabio in P6, Vossi in P7, and it's the BMW in P8, Kalua. Like I said, give me a sec while I look at this. All of this is gonna be Kaulan in P8, Inigo in P9, Nicholas Zahn in P10, Saber, and that's gonna be the top 10s for this race.
Yeah, so that's going to be a good win from Fabio for silver class there. Our new drivers, our new silver drivers in Sadket and it looks like Sierra didn't quite finish where they wanted to in this one, so not a great day for them. But it turned out to be a great day for Damon taking the win in this one when it looked like Jordan was going to just run away with that one, but a combination of repairing damage in the pits as well as some pit limiter issues in the pit stop cycle took them out of contention for that. And what a day from Lily, giving us the closest finish that we've had in a very long time in Simufur, and basically hurrying Damon all the way to the flag here. That's a fantastic result from them in a series where they're going against a lot of really, really fast drivers and holding their own with them.
Yeah, definitely a really close fight and very interesting second round. So it's been definitely interesting to see how the standings continue on to progress for round 2. But definitely results won't be finalized until the stewards have a look at incidents, and incidents there are this round.
Yeah, we have a lot to look through. Again, I don't think we really got the full picture on that huge pileup at the start. I think we kind of saw a little bit of like the aftermath of it, but there were just so many knock-on incidents, and especially I think I recall a Mustang kind of doing a little bit of ARCA brakes, which is to say not braking at all, into a giant field of cars, and sort of creating some more knock-on incidents. So I imagine there will be a couple of slaps from the stewards getting handed out, a couple of positions being reshuffled, but we'll get those positions to you as fast as possible. But I think out in front, it's there's going to be no denying Damon that that P1, as they're going to be extending their lead in the championship.
Yeah, definitely interesting to see that Damon has continued to extend it, even though we kind of at the start expected our Audi driver here to be in P1, but unfortunately with stop-go penalties and quitting early, that's not going to happen. That's going to be Damon continuing on, and the rest we'll have to see once the results have finalized.
Yeah, where are we at next week, huh? Nürburgring Grand Prix, unfortunately, not the Nordschleife. I know people would love to see that again, but we just went there. So, you know, I'm a big fan of the GP track, honestly. It's going to be a lot, that's definitely a much larger venue than anything that we've been at so far. So a lot more sort of long straights where, you know, drivers can show off a little bit more of the straight line speed, and definitely a lot wider track should hopefully make incidents a little bit less common and make getting through the traffic a little bit easier. But still really looking forward to it. It's a great track, and I think if today was anything to go off of, we are in for some really, really close fights at the top of the field for the rest of this season. It's going to be really fun for us in the commentary booth.
Yep, white track and good runoff, so it's going to be very fun. But that's going to be next week, though. So if you're interested, be sure to subscribe or join our Discord description. You can find the link in the description below. That's going to be us in the commentary booth. Again, it's Newbie here, commentating with Kady side by side, along with Denak at the broadcasting booth. This will be Simufur signing off. Thanks everyone for joining, and hope to see you guys next week.
Good night, folks.